Not a bad start for day one of the Democratic National Convention. A new Fox poll came out earlier in the morning showing Donald Trump down by 6 with likely voters. That threw Donald Trump into a complete tailspin, making post after post, many of which Donald Trump uses AI images. For example, making posts of Vice President Kamala Harris using AI in front of a Soviet convention, and then making posts claiming that Taylor Swift and the Swifties have endorsed him using AI images of these Swifties. Can you get any more pathetic than that? Possibly, if your name is Donald Trump. Of course, over the past 48, 72 hours, the news broke, and Donald Trump doubling down on it, that Donald Trump continues to say that giving the Medal of Freedom or receiving the Medal of Freedom is better than the Congressional Medal of Honor. Donald Trump said that when he gave Miriam Adelson, one of his big donors, the Medal of Freedom because she was not injured or dead, it was far better than giving somebody the Congressional Medal of Honor, which is given for gallantry and for heroism in war, because our soldiers who receive the Medal of Honor are often killed or maimed or seriously injured. Then Donald Trump doubled down on that after his speech in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, which was just a disastrous speech where Trump spent most of the 90 minutes rambling, ranting mostly about the way Vice President Kamala Harris looks. And Donald Trump continued to say that he thought that he looks better and he's better looking than Vice President Kamala Harris. And he let everybody know how angry he is that a sketch artist drew a very beautiful picture of Vice President Kamala Harris. Boy, did that make him very angry. And that was the message that he wanted to share with the people of Pennsylvania. On the other hand, Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Walz began their bus tour through Pennsylvania, where they were talking about kitchen table issues, where they were talking about the economy, get this, in detail, and where Governor Walz and Vice President Kamala Harris were talking about joy and trying to unite people and bring people together, while Donald Trump continues to try to stoke fear. Also, other interesting developments on day one of the Democratic National Convention, not even having to deal with the DNC. George Santos, MAGA Republican Congress member, or former MAGA Republican Congress member, earlier in the day pled guilty to 2 counts of violations of federal law regarding wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. We'll show you the video in just a bit of George Santos breaking down and crying after his guilty plea. He's going to serve some serious time, on the low end 2 years behind bars, and he may serve as many as 6 to 10 years behind bars. We told you when that story was breaking that he was committing those crimes, and it's good to see that justice was served today. We'll also talk about some other legal updates in the Manhattan District Attorney case. And it seems that J.D. Vance can't get anything right. Over the weekend, he randomly brought up again Jeffrey Epstein during an interview with Fox for like almost no reason at all. But thanks for opening the Pandora's box so we could talk more about Donald Trump's connections with Epstein, J.D. Vance. And then J.D. Vance was complaining in Philadelphia why they don't have Swiss cheese on Philly cheesesteaks. He makes the biggest mistakes everywhere he goes. We'll talk about that and more on the MeidasTouch Podcast. Of course, today is day one of the DNC. Let's bring in Brett. Jordy is not going to be here today. He's out and about and taking care of his kid, and I think he's at a convention as well. But Jordy will be back with us very soon.
You think he's at a convention as well?
Well, I don't know how much I can share about where Jordy is,
Jordy is on assignment, not at the Democratic National Convention, but at another convention, doing some work. But oh boy, man, we got a lot of people at the Democratic National Convention in MeidasTouch Network world. We are so excited to be sharing all of this with the Meidas Mighty. We are obviously at home base right now to do all of our reporting, make sure everything goes on. But I'm sure a lot of you have been watching Adam Mockler's live stream on his YouTube channel. Make sure that you are subscribed to the @Adam Mockler YouTube channel. We also have a whole host of other people there that for a lot of familiar faces that you guys may see, like Fred Wellman, like Harry Littman, like Keith Edwards, like Ken Harbaugh, like Politics Girl. I might even be missing people. Adam Parkamenko, Ali Samarco. We got a whole crew of people at the DNC covering it to bring you the up-to-date news live on the ground from there. Now, we are pre-recording this show today so that we could be doing our live DNC coverage as well. But we are excited to bring you all the related news and everything that is going on. And the Trump meltdown continues to, the guy continues to implode, Ben. I mean, it's quite something to see. He has not had to be on the defensive at all this entire election until the past few weeks, and he does not know how to handle it. And now he's kind of in this death spiral where he continues to say the craziest things, like even crazy by Donald Trump standards, offensive things, and he does not know how to go up against Kamala Harris. It is quite something to see. And we just see these acts of desperation over and over while we see Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz actually hitting the road, making phone calls, doing the actual work of campaigning, meeting voters where they actually are. It is quite the contrast to see, and we will break all of that down here on this episode of the MeidasTouch Podcast.
Yeah, let's get right into it. I mean, I think it was important that we still kept a podcast that could talk about all of the news over the past few days and today, because there's been a lot of developments, and we figured that if we were going to just focus on the Democratic National Convention, you'd probably miss some of the news that took place, and knowledge is power. So we're just like, let's do both. So maybe we do this show slightly abbreviated than what our normal is. We'll go about an hour here, and then you can go back and forth watching this and watching our other coverage of the Democratic.
I want everybody to have all the tabs open, a tab for this coverage, a tab for the live DNC coverage, a tab of Adam Mockler walking around, giving you the behind-the-scenes look at the DNC. Your computer needs to look like the movie, like The Matrix, the architect of the Matrix, or Minority Report or something. Just looking at all the screens all around you.
Talk about the Fox poll right there that I talked about at the outset of the show. Among likely voters, Vice President Kamala Harris leads by 6. A morning consult poll just came out where Vice President Kamala Harris leads by 4. The new ABC general election poll has Vice President Kamala Harris up 5. The New York Times Siena poll has Vice President Kamala Harris not only leading by 4 in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, but also up by 4 in Arizona and up by 2 in North Carolina. How is Donald Trump responding to this? Not very well. Donald Trump sent the following email. Alert from Trump. This came up right after the Fox poll dropped. Alert from Trump, and this is what he's posting right now. Kamala Harris wants communism in America. First, they erased my right to free speech. Dude, you're talking right now. Then they targeted me with regime lawfare. Now, Kamala wants Soviet price controls in every neighborhood grocery store. I mean, can you get any lamer and weirder than this? And then using AI images of the Soviet Union. And it looks like a Trump rally.
Isn't this the guy who, like a few days ago, when he was making up that Vice President Harris didn't actually have these large crowds, that it was all AI, that said her use of AI should make her disqualified, I think was the word that he used in his post. And here he is actually, of course, that was complete BS. Here he is actually making AI photos of Kamala Harris. And it's just so weird and cringeworthy. But hey, at least he acknowledges in this AI photo of her in front of the communist crowd that she's getting big crowds, because that's a bigger crowd than we've seen at any of these Trump rallies recently, I will say.
And it's the MAGA colors right there, though.
It is the MAGA colors.
Okay, going next, what is Donald Trump posting as well? This is pop-based, so this is reaching right here, like people who don't follow day-to-day politics. They're going, what is he doing? Donald Trump is sharing fake AI-generated images of Taylor Swift and her fans to claim her and their endorsement. I accept the endorsement of the Swifties, Donald Trump says. And he's posting AI images of not real people wearing Swifties for Trump shirts. A fake headline. This isn't even a real headline and a real anything. Swifties turning to Trump after ISIS foiled Taylor Swift.
Ben, if you look right above the headline, I'm not sure if our viewers could see it. It's a little small, but you look above the word Swifties, that red text right there literally says satire on it. It's a satirical article that Donald Trump is trying to pass off as real, and it's full. All of those images above it are all AI generated images of women wearing Swifties for Trump shirts. I guess that's what happens when you can't actually find real Swifties for Trump out there. But if there's one thing I've learned in my time on this planet is you don't want to piss off the Swifties. I think this is a huge miscalculation. I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump hears from Taylor Swift's legal team. And also, if this makes Taylor Swift want to, come out and make an even bigger endorsement of the Harris Walz ticket at some point. She was obviously a very vocal supporter of President Biden in 2020 and spoke out quite forcefully against Donald Trump repeatedly in the past. This is just such a miscalculation. Just also shows like how freaking weird he is. And like you said, it being on Pop Base, it going on places like TMZ and all these sorts of magazines and things like that, TikTok, it's really going to show to a wider, more broad audience of people who aren't even political followers how insane this person is and how detached from reality this individual really is.
Then Donald Trump posted a video that was using the Alanis Morissette song and lyrics. And Donald Trump posted a video, and it hurts me to even have to say what it is that he's posting. But the lyrics to a song that Donald Trump posted on his social media platform said that Kamala Harris goes down on her knees, and that's how she became a commander-in-chief, doing what they please,
so
or words to those effect. Using the Alanis Morissette, they changed the lyrics around, and that is a video that Donald Trump posted on his social media platform, and you can see some of the. I don't want to play the audio, but the fact that that will not be covered by corporate media, right? I can bet you that corporate media is not going to report that Donald Trump posted a video that has lyrics saying that Vice President Kamala Harris got where she is today, to use the exact words of the lyrics that are said, by going down on her knees. That won't even be a story covered by corporate media. I just want you to think about that. They go, oh, that's just Trump being Trump. What a misogynistic, disgusting human being, the exact opposite of what we want to teach our children to be. I mean, the worst behaved, petulant third grader doesn't even behave this way. And this is the leader of the Republican Party. And I think that's the why at a nationwide level, Americans are coalescing around this message by Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Walz of joy, of unity, of respect, of intelligence, of rejecting this utter and despicable MAGA filth. And this nonsense is what it is. Governor Walz gave a speech, we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show, where he was speaking to a group of high school students, a football team, and then he was speaking to another group of people, and he goes, you know what I miss? He goes, I miss the days where we can have a normal Thanksgiving without having those relatives want to talk about all of these anti-democracy things and pro-Putin things. I want to go back to normal, where we can just talk about shared American values. And what we see Donald Trump wanting to do over and over again is take our joy away and provoke fear, and also have these, psychological sessions that they're not even speeches. It's like watching a sociopath just act out all of their pathology on stage, and it's gross and it's weird. I mean, here he was in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I'm not going to show you the whole speech. We'll just give you a few clips of it, and you'll get the general vibe of what went down, where Trump spent most of the speech talking about his looks, and he thinks he's better looking than Vice President Kamala Harris. Again, this type of statement in and of itself should be disqualifying. Be like, what are you talking about? What, are you 3 years old? Because 3-year-olds, no offense to them, they behave better. Who behaves like this? Here, play this clip.
Okay, she called it wrong. She's called it wrong now for about 8 years. But she said one thing that got me. She said Kamala has one big advantage. She's a very beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman. So I decided to go back and reread the clause. I'm not saying he's, but I say that I am much better looking than her. I think I'm much better. Much better. I'm a better looking person than Kamala. No, I couldn't believe it. She said, I had never heard that one. They said, no, her biggest advantage is that she's a beautiful woman. I'm going, I never thought of that. I'm better looking than she is. And her speech.
This is like actually it's watching an actual crazy person. Here he is too in this speech. And I think he was supposed to be focused on the economy. Like that was how this speech was framed. And here he is talking about how much he likes TiVo. Here, play this clip.
I had to play it back. You know, I love the playback controls you have nowadays. They used to call it TiVo. Now they have TiVo. I think it's the single greatest invention. It's better than television, because television would drive you crazy if you couldn't do a playback, right? Now I can.
Okay, he does that. And then he talks about the real pressing issues that people in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania confront, like Vice President Kamala Harris's laugh. Here, play this clip.
People say, be nice. Have you heard her laugh? That is the laugh of a crazy person. That is the laugh of a crazy. It's the laugh of a lunatic. Have you heard it? You know, they prohibited her. They prohibited her for laughing. I've been waiting for her to laugh, because as soon as she laughs, the election's over.
Okay, then he speaks in York, Pennsylvania earlier today. Again, his speech was supposed to be about the economy. It was not. He kept on talking about how he's being called weird, and he thinks he's not weird. Here, play this clip.
See it a little bit by this whack job. You know, he said, we're weird. That JD and I are weird. I think we're extremely normal people, like you, exactly like. He's weird. Did you ever see him go on the stage and go like crazy? It's like between his movement and her laugh, there's a lot of craziness. I'd say a step further than weird. Weird is a nice word by comparison.
Okay, well, let's take a look, Donald, at the speech that you just gave and the things that you were saying. Now let's take a look at Governor Walz speaking at a high school football practice, because Governor Walz was a high school teacher. He was a high school football coach that brought the team and won a state championship. Let's show Governor Walz speaking at this high school in Pennsylvania. Play this clip.
I know it'd be easy, especially now. Our politics has been pretty ugly. Our politics has seemed pretty negative. Our politics is something that I know what I fear most is that young people turn away from it rather than turning into it. Politics isn't that much different than this. It's about something bigger than themselves. It's about setting a future goal and trying to reach it. It's about doing it with dignity and hard work. It's about doing it with humility. And when you lose, you walk across the field and you shake hands with the other team and know they played hard too. But we're all in it together to try and make it better. And things like investing in this public school and I can't imagine what this place looks like when it's filled with folks and the lights are on and the leaves are turning and that game's in the fourth quarter and somebody has to make that play. Somebody has to step up, and you look to each side of you and you know, I trust them. I trust them to make that play. Our country's not that different. Our neighbors want to be with you. Our neighbors want to do what's right. And the more we figure out that we're in this thing together and we have more in common than we have separated, we're going to do a heck of a lot better. So I have to tell you, thanks for taking some time. Thanks for giving us the privilege to stand on this field, because you earn the right to be on this field. You earn it with a lot of sweat. You earn it with a lot of time in the weight room. You earn it with the folks who came before you and know that they care how you conduct yourselves on this. And we feel the same way. We have a responsibility to the American public to conduct ourselves with dignity, conduct ourselves with a vision, and to conduct ourselves on all of this. When football's done right, it is just fun as heck to play the game. And that's the way things can be. So I have to tell you, I am just honored to be with this leader. I'm honored with someone who's showing us that. I'm honored with someone who's out doing politics with a smile on her face and with a sense that everybody matters. And we're here in this space to say it's not just a cliche. Our future is with you, and we have a responsibility to deliver it to you in good shape, to make sure that we're doing the right things to give you a good shot at the future. And so for me, it's a privilege to be on this team. It's a privilege to see this leader do it with such joy.
You know, it's why when you see kind of Donald Trump and MAGA and their behavior, and when you see Governor Walz and Vice President Kamala Harris's behavior, it's why I use the word often behavior, right? And conduct and character way more than I even talk about politics, because Donald Trump and his behavior and character, lack of moral character, the way he talks about Vice President Kamala Harris, the way he always talks about himself, me, the way he lies about everything, the way he puts his own interests above we the people, all of that. And then you compare that to Governor Walz and the way Governor Walz is speaking and behaving. And then it does permeate the crowds and how people are behaving. Like, Brett, I don't know if you saw this, but at these Donald Trump and JD Vance events now, they're bringing these like fake JD Vance sperm samples around. This is actually real. The same way that the people at the Trump rallies are wearing diapers and convicted felons or I support convicted felon shirts. MAGA is actually carrying around JD Vance sperm cups, and they put like fake looking sperm in the cups, and they walk around and they hold them and they open them up and they pour them on each other. This is what they're doing at Trump events right now. And
it's actually repulsive. And it also shows you like there's first off, there's everything wrong with this. It's repulsive. It's disgusting. It's quite frankly, like one of the most nauseating, horrific things that I've ever seen. And when I first saw like the first picture, I was like, there's no way this is real. And then I saw like 30 pictures and the more kept coming and it was confirmed. And it's just like so horrifying. And it also shows though, how mean-spirited these people are, because the reason that they're doing it is apparently to mock Tim Walz and his wife for getting IVF treatments in order to have a family. Like it's even like it checks off all the MAGA boxes. It's weird, it's gross, it's nauseating, and it is just demeaning as hell and just reprehensible behavior. And to target something like IVF in this way, they're not beating the weird allegations. This is the kind of stuff that no normal people in this country look at and go, I want to be associated with this movement. And it's why, Ben, it's why you and me and Jordy and the Meidas Mighty, it's why when we say the things that we're fighting against here at MeidasTouch, we don't view them as political things. This should not be a political issue. This should not be, I don't know how this is conservative principles. I don't know how this is republicanism. I don't understand anything about this. And it's just so emblematic of this MAGA movement, which is just so detached from American values. And really what Governor Walz said in that clip is what this network is about. I think it's why it resonates with so many folks, that it's, don't you want to be able to like have be able to watch TV without having this politics shoved in your face and people yapping at you about these weird conspiracies and everything? Like, don't you want this to be back to like, what can we do to make people's lives better? And we could debate the issues, but we don't have to be at each other's throats over every little thing and making stuff up. And Donald Trump and JD Vance just continue to prove Tim Walz and Kamala Harris's points by continuing to be so weird and divisive and continuing to push these conspiracy theories and make these AI images and just all these reprehensible attacks, which are then amplified by networks like Fox, networks like OAN, RSBN, and the like, and are just so toxic and poison the political discourse and the cultural discourse and the societal discourse of the United States of America.
When we get back, I want to show you George Santos crying after pleading guilty to 2 felony counts. I want to talk more about Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Walz surging ahead. I want to talk more about some additional court updates today in the Manhattan District Attorney case. It's day 1, folks, of the Democratic National Convention. We've got 2 streams going. We've got a DNC stream. We've got the podcast stream. We've got Meidas correspondents who are there live streaming everything like Adam Mockler. It's busy, but working for democracy is good fun and good work. Everybody reminder, patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch, and store.MeidasTouch.com for the best pro-democracy gear. Let's try to hit 3 million subscribers this week. We will be right back after our first quick break. I know from a lot of the emails that you send me that a lot of you watching and listening are entrepreneurs. You run your own business, and you know I run a business too, the MeidasTouch Network. So I know how hard it is to manage your numbers, manage the trends in the market, and budget everything. Your business gets to a certain size and the cracks start to emerge. Things you used to do in a day are now taking a week. You have too many manual processes and you don't have one source of truth. If this is you, you need to know these 3 numbers: 37,000, 20,000, 25 and 1. Okay, 37,000. That's the number of businesses which have upgraded to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, streamlining accounting, financial management, inventory, HR, and more. 25. NetSuite turns 25 this year. That's 25 years of helping businesses do more with less, close their books in days, not weeks, and drive down costs. And 1, because your business is one of a kind. So you get a customized solution for all of your key performance indicators, KPIs, in one efficient system with one source of truth. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve margins. Everything you need to grow all in one place. The power of having all the information in one place to make better decisions and the unprecedented offer NetSuite is providing has been a game changer for us here at MeidasTouch, and I think it will also be a major game changer for you and your business. Right now, download NetSuite's popular KPI checklist designed to give you consistently excellent performance absolutely free at netsuite.com/Meidas. That's netsuite.com/Meidas, netsuite.com/Meidas to get your own KPI checklist. That's netsuite.com/Meidas. Check it out. You heard the good news. Interest rates have dropped, and right now is the perfect time to call my friends at American Financing. They're a family-owned company that is helping people just like you create meaningful savings every month. They're salary-based mortgage consultants. Look at your full financial picture, all of your debts, including those frustrating credit card balances where you're paying upwards of 20 to 30% in interest payments every month. And they work with you to create a loan program where they wipe that all out and in some cases have some cash left over to create some emergency savings. American Financing is a true partner in helping you and your family save money. They never charge any upfront or hidden fees. It costs you absolutely nothing to find out how much you can save. Their average customer is saving over $800 a month. And if you start today, you may delay 2 mortgage payments. 866-886-2026. That's 866-886-2026 or visit americanfinancing.net/touch. That is americanfinancing.net/touch. Welcome back. Thank you to our sponsors. Everybody, you want to see George Santos cry? Let's do it.
I'm taking responsibility because I have to. There's no other way around it. To my family, friends, and supporters, and the people of New York's 3rd Congressional District, I offer my deepest apologies. It has been the proudest achievement of my life to represent you, and I believe I did so to the best of my abilities. But you also trusted me to represent you with honor and to uphold the values that are essential to our democracy. And in that regard, I failed you. I know that my actions have caused disappointment, frustration, and a loss of faith in me, and for that, I'm truly sorry. I also want to acknowledge the many people who have stood by me during this difficult time, my family, friends, and legal team. Your support has been a source of strength, and I am determined to repay your faith in me by becoming a better person. Moving forward, I am dedicated to making amends for the wrongs I have committed. I understand that there are legal consequences for my actions, and I accept them fully. This plea is not just an admission of guilt. It's an acknowledgement that I need to be held accountable, like any other American that breaks the law. I hope that by facing these consequences head on, I can begin to demonstrate my commitment to change and to earning your forgiveness. I do not ask for forgiveness, as I know that must be earned through actions, not words. I want to be a part of restoring the integrity that I helped diminish, and I will work tirelessly to regain the trust of those I have let down. As I move forward, I am committed to living a life that reflects the values I should have upheld all along. And truth and integrity.
I mean, truth and integrity, his entire life story is lied. He's lied his entire life. He happened to get caught. that is why he's in this situation. He got caught and then he lied about it and tried to cover it up until finally he had to plead guilty, where the Department of Justice and others investigated, and he had no escape route. So he entered into this plea. And, I will say this, though. I mean, that is the type of statement, though, that you do want to hear from someone who is pleading guilty. I mean, you heard him say unequivocally that he is taking accountability. He's saying that he hasn't earned anybody's forgiveness, nor is he asking for it. He's saying that he deserves to pay for what he did. He says he says this, he says that, he says that. Yeah. You saw the sign behind. It's like, I think the sign was saying words to the effect of, when Donald Trump and George Santos' lips are moving, they are lying. Yeah. But there he is. And, for all of those who have followed the saga here at the MeidasTouch Network, even when we first reported on what was suspicious, I think we were probably one of the first media networks that were looking through his FEC filings. I remember those reports, two years ago at this point, or 18 months ago. And, a lot of people saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So to see the justice happen after, I think our investigative reporting as a network feels good, even if we were a small part of bringing transparency to that and bringing accountability, Brett.
Yeah, and Ben, this is like, he's gonna face time. Like he could face pretty serious time. The plea agreement not only calls for Santos to make restitution payments of at least $373,749.97, but the minimum for the crimes in prison is 2 years. And the judge hinted that the possible sentencing for Santos could be between 6 and 8 years. Now, the sentencing is not until February, but that's probably another reason why we see Santos there not quite looking as confident as we've seen Santos in the past, where he was much more defiant and saying that he did nothing wrong. This is a different Santos because he knows finally it is time for him to face the music. And frankly, I look forward to the day when we are seeing Donald Trump going through the same thing. That starts with defeating him in November. But finally, justice has been served. The wheels of justice move slowly, but they do indeed move.
Trial was scheduled in the next week, 2 weeks. Jury selection was going to take place. So he had no other option, right? Like, he delayed this and pushed this out as far as he can go. He did the websites where he made money, like giving, shout outs to people or whatever it is. And he made his hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's whatever it is. Yeah. And so, that ran its course. He saw that he had trial. He knew he was going to lose. And so he begged for a deal. I think when you speak about George Santos, a easy transition from Santos is to J.D. Vance, because who is J.D. Vance? Like George Santos, J.D. Vance has had numerous different names, a shapeshifter, a chameleon who then calls other people chameleons. I mean, J.D. Vance quite literally has changed his identity 3 or 4 times and has changed his name. This is his third name that he's used as he cycled through different identities. When he grew up, he told everybody around him that he was gay. Then his grandma said, you can't be gay. So then he became this anti-gay person, anti-LGBTQ. Then he saw this advantage in law school to being like this, to pretending that he was a hillbilly and that he was like an enlightened hillbilly who hates Trump. So that was like, he wrote a whole book about that, and he claimed that he's from Appalachia and he's not from Appalachia. And then he wrote a book like bashing people from Appalachia using all of the kind of stereotypes of hillbillies to kind of mock the community. And then that ran its course. And then when he ran for Senate, he ran as a Trumper. So he said, I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy, to being, I'm a Trumper. I will kiss your ass, Donald Trump. And then Trump literally said at the speech, you kiss my ass, JD. And JD's like, I kiss your ass. I'm not going to show any more of the photos of JD Vance cross-dressing, as or JD Vance wearing the wigs, or JD Vance, with girls in the bathroom. And there's a lot of photos out there. Suffice to say, it's obvious that JD has lots of identity issues, and the reality is that we would have all worked to protect his freedoms, yet he has spent his adult life now working to take away our freedoms and working to take away your freedoms. He's the worst VP pick in history, right? I mean, statistically, if you look at all of the data, he's even more unfavorable than Sarah Palin. He's more unfavorable than Sarah Palin.
It's wild. You know what the crazy thing is too, and this just shows you the depths of how trapped the right wing and MAGA people are in their algorithms, in their fake world. In their world, Tim Walz is actually extremely unpopular, and any day now, Kamala's going to kick him off the ticket. But J.D. Vance is the most popular man in America. Everything is opposite world with these people. Then you actually look at, well, the people themselves, and you look at the hard data, and you see that the favorable ratings, Walz actually has like the highest favorable ratings of anybody on the ticket, like president or vice president. And JD Vance is so far underwater with net negative favorable ratings. Like, he's really disliked. And just like Donald Trump, the more he gets out there, the more he speaks, the less people like him. He's got that DeSantis syndrome a little bit.
The funny thing about J.D. Vance, if you want to say it funny, is he's a phony version of Governor Walz. Like, he is, right? He's like the make-believe version of Governor Walz, and Governor Walz has lived authentically and been the coach, and he's been there. And so to see how Governor Walz has been attacking J.D. for his inauthenticity, and he's been a very tactful and very highbrow way. I'll show you that in a little bit. So because JD doesn't even know who JD is, you know, he parrots these talking points, but once they kind of leave his mouth and enter into the public fora, it's like, what did you say? So for example, JD Vance was giving an interview with Fox this weekend, and as part of his criticisms of Vice President, I know how to say it, he's a walking Freudian slip. Because he doesn't have an identity, he's a walking, talking Freudian slip. And so here he is on Fox criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris, but he has to mention Jeffrey Epstein in it. Here, play this clip.
Giving Kamala Harris control over inflation policy, Shannon, it's like giving Jeffrey Epstein control over human trafficking policy. The American people are much smarter than that. They don't buy the idea that Kamala Harris represents a fresh start. She is more of the same. It is doubling down on the failed policies of the Harris administration to give Kamala Harris a promotion rather than to fire her, which is what I think most Americans are going to do on November.
I mean, the guy just reeks of inauthenticity, and you see Shannon Bream, who's interviewing, kind of looking at him like, why are you bringing up Epstein? Why?
He should carry around a list. You never know. Donald Trump had that note that said, "Do not congratulate." Like, that was the one thing he was. They should just have one that says, "Do not bring up Epstein." Like, whatever you do, the one thing, please just do not bring up Epstein. Like Donald Trump's former best friend. Let's not do that.
Well, I mean, they don't make it any easier when they're flying around in Jeffrey Epstein's jet. And Donald Trump posted a video over on this weekend, like a hype video of him doing the weird, like, two-fisted dance thing with the tape, the seat sniffer. Remember, Donald Trump did the interview with that streamer at, what's that guy's name?
Aiden Ross.
Aiden Ross.
I'm sad that I know that.
Yeah, the streamer got famous for sniffing the butts and the seats of people. He would go and they would go, "Aiden, let's take a sniff, Aiden. Take a real good sniff, Aiden." And then Aiden would go and he would sniff and they would go, "Oh." And so, like, I guess that appeals to a subsection of 11-year-olds. But that guy became a famous streamer. And then Donald Trump, because that guy appealed to, I guess he appealed to Barron. That was one of the connections there. That then Donald Trump did the interview with Aiden to appeal to Gen Z. That was like the big interview. So Trump releases a video with the butt sniffer, and they're doing this weird dance in front of like a rented Cybertruck. And then, I kid you not, it then goes to, then there's like these like weird, like misogynistic rap lyrics that are playing. And it's like, "When I've been on a world tour and she was on all fours." And when they have the lyrics about she was on all fours, it then shows Donald Trump getting into Epstein's jet. The video shows him walking into Epstein's jet as that's the lyric. And that's the jet that Epstein's estate sold to a Republican donor. Then Trump took Epstein's jet, the jet that Epstein trafficked women in, the crime scene, and then flies around in it and wrapped it with Trump 2024 on it right now, and then flies around in it. They made a hype video about that. And then you just go back to Donald Trump's power. I'm not going to do the whole, if you watch the videos I did this morning and others, I go through how Donald Trump, that one of Donald Trump's jobs, when Donald Trump said he needed to own something, that he owned the Look of the Year competition with like literally like 14-year-old girls. And then he would have them go on a yacht with like older men old enough to be their grandparents who would like grind on the 14-year-old girls. This according to an article in The Guardian. And then Trump like posted some of these photos. The one that Trump posted is on Trump Media is the black and white photo on my right, at least, is the one that he posted. On the left is the pageant that Donald Trump ran were girls on the left. The Look of the Year competition in 1991. And then he hosted a boat party with old men from Manhattan with girls like that. It's sick. And then we did this video at the MeidasTouch Network, the contrast between Vice President Kamala Harris and Donald Trump around children. Let's play that video right now.
You never have to ask anyone permission to leave. Now, once you remember, you never have to ask permission to leave. Here, you want to give them, right? When you're ready to leave, you can leave. Okay? Yeah?
You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
Chloe already has her cape on. That's Miss Harris.
Oh my goodness! You wore your cape! I forgot to wear my cape. Look at you. Come here, let me see you.
You want to go around? We'll get a photo of you.
Everybody wants to know.
And so, are you going to talk to the other superheroes? Yeah? Did you talk to them about the own? Yeah? What are we going to do when we take it? We're going to be strong. And work hard. Kind. Remember all that? Yeah?
What does Tiffany have of yours, and what does Tiffany have of Marla's?
She's got Marla's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but time will tell.
My sister's name is Maya. She's usually with me. Let me see you, Maya. Let me see you. You always hold that chin up, you hear me? Okay. You always hold that chin up, okay? If you don't make it, I'll take it. You will? Okay. Well, then we have a problem.
Really beautiful is Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton. And I've known Paris Hilton from the time she's 12.
She's hot.
Her parents are friends of mine. And, you know, the first time I saw her, she walked into the room and said, who the hell is that?
Did you want to bang her?
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, you know, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
And he's referring to girls. Let's be clear. And I showed you the types of girls who go to those pageants that he does. I do want to give a hat tip also, though, to the evangelicals for Harris. A lot of groups forming to show that the way the media portrays things and the way things always seem may not be what they are right now. So Evangelicals for Harris is a group that's formed to basically say, hey, they did this video calling Donald Trump a false prophet and saying that Donald Trump, basically goes against every single, tenet of religion. And I think whether you're a religious person or you're not a religious person, that should be fairly obvious. And, what's interesting, Brett, is about 4 years ago, we did lots of videos where we would actually show, whatever it would be, and we would compare Donald Trump's behavior to different kind of, religious teachings. And we would say, really, this is your guy. We still have a lot to discuss on this show, day one of the Democratic National Convention. We're on our way here at the MeidasTouch Network to 3 million subscribers. We want to try to get there this week before Friday. Let's see if we can do it. Store.MeidasTouch.com. Get your pro-democracy gear. Let's make sure you check that out. Really good stuff. 100% union made, 100% made in the USA. Brett, let's take our last quick break of the show, and we'll be back on. We've got a lot more to discuss still. We'll be right back after this last quick break.
Hey everyone, Brett here. You know, I've tried meal kits before, but sometimes I found they either didn't have enough options or the meals were just too complicated to put together after a long day. Luckily, I found Marley Spoon and I could not be happier. This podcast is sponsored by Marley Spoon. Marley Spoon knows bland food is boring, so they created the best tasting meal kit money can buy. And with our code Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S, you could get up to 25 free meals. With Marley Spoon, you could choose from over 100 delicious recipes every week, from Cajun spiced chicken to poached salmon to butternut squash gnocchi to a vegan burrito bowl. My favorite recent meal from Marley Spoon was their grilled pesto chicken. It was absolutely mouthwatering, easy to make, and healthy. And many of the recipes are completely customizable. So whether you're looking for vegetarian meals, family-friendly dishes, or low-carb options, Marley Spoon has the food you want to eat. They even have an in-house registered dietitian who assesses every recipe, taking the guesswork out of eating healthy. I just cooked a recipe for Marley Spoon last night. My wife and I loved it. There's something really rewarding about cooking food yourself and it tasting amazing versus doing expensive, unhealthy takeout. I'm honestly saving so much money and I'm eating healthier, better food as well. Marley Spoon also saves you from making that extra grocery haul with their online market of pantry essentials. You could shop their selection of over 125 items like seasonal produce, ready-to-heat options, meal shortcuts, extra proteins, and handy snacks, and easily add them to your next box. With meal planning and food shopping taken care of, making delicious food at home has finally become effortless. Plus, with Marley Spoon, you aren't locked in long term. Their flexible subscription allows you to edit, pause, or cancel your boxes anytime. So, experience the most personalized meal kit today with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/Meidas and use code Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S, for up to 25 free meals. That's right, up to 25 free meals with Marley Spoon. One last time, that's marleyspoon.com/offer/Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S. Make sure you use that promo code Meidas so they know that we sent you.
I've been trying to lead a heart-healthy lifestyle, but finding the energy to keep up with healthy changes like getting my steps in, it's been an uphill battle. We often think living a more heart-healthy life means making big, unsustainable changes. Well, with SuperBeets Heart Chews, you can get daily blood pressure support in just 2 tasty chews a day. And they even promote heart-healthy energy without the stimulants. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the antioxidants in SuperBeets are clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. My energy levels are higher than ever. Now, without typical dips from coffee and energy drinks, it's fantastic to support my blood pressure and still have the energy for more physical activity. It's a win-win. Double your potential with SuperBeets Heart Chews. Get a free 30-day supply of SuperBeets Heart Chews on all bundles and 15% off your first order by going to getsuperbeets.com and use code Meidas. That's getsuperbeets.com, code Meidas.
Welcome back. It's day one of the Democratic National Convention. Meidas has multiple streams taking place right now. Just take a look at all of these speakers that are happening this evening. Of course, the main keynote speaker of the night is going to be President Joe Biden. I'm looking forward to his speech. But of course, we have United Auto Worker President Shawn Fain. We've got AOC. We got Hillary Clinton, Jamie Raskin, Jasmine Crockett, Grace Meng. We've got Andy Beshear, Raphael Warnock, Chris Coons. We got President Joe Biden.
That's just a partial list. No Hulkster?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Hulkster is here. And I'm going to tell you that if you don't vote for... I mean, what an embarrassment that RNC was. They had OnlyFans models. I mean, they literally had Amber Rose, who... like just a year ago was basically saying the exact opposite stuff. And they had her speak right after some of the most like anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ speakers spew this hate. Like they did all their normal, fear mongering over bathrooms, and like they did all that speech. Then Amber Rose, who right now is basically promoting her naked photos of herself on OnlyFans. Then she gives the speech and she's like promoting some scammy looking crypto thing to the moon. And it's like, seems, in my opinion, pump and dumpy, but I'll leave that for you to be, for you to be the judge. She's like, I've now found that here, this is a community that supports us. This supports the LGBT. I'm like, did you just listen to literally the speaker who went before you, who was just trashing the LGBTQ plus community? And then it's like, all right, and now our main speaker is Trump, and the other main speaker is Trump, and the other main speaker is Trump, and the other main speaker is Donald Kid. Is Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, and so that was that over and over.
And then you have like NBC and these channels being like, "What a riveting speech by Hulk Hogan! Wow, he really brought." You're like, okay, guys, all right. Like, what is happening here? You know what? On the other hand, keep talking, because that's why people are coming and watching the DNC today on the MeidasTouch network. That's why they're watching Adam Mockler's live coverage. That's why people right now have 3 streams pulled open with this show and our various coverage. It's just unfathomable. Stop treating this like it is a normal moment. I just cannot understand what is happening. I wanted to show I want to get to these Tim Walz clips and show the contrast with JD Vance, but I also want to show this moment that happened earlier with JD Vance. So he went to Pat's cheesesteaks in Philly, and like he couldn't even do that correctly. He went there and he complained to the staff at Pat's that they didn't have Swiss cheese, which you could ask people from Philly. That's apparently like a cardinal sin to ask why they don't have Swiss cheese for their cheesesteaks. It reminds me of that Dr. Oz moment when he got the name wrong for Wegmans and called it Wegner's or whatever the heck he called it. And it's just one of these other things that show the inauthenticity and, him being out of touch and just trying way too hard. Where were we with these Walz clips? I don't want to repeat, but there are a lot of amazing.
So we showed the one at high school, but here's Governor Walz. He just continues to be very, very good at this. Just watch this speech. And again, to me, go back and watch Meidas lives from 4 years ago or 3 years ago when we first started. This sounds like a brother rant right here. Here, listen to this. Play the clip.
That's what people know. And some of us who have less hair and are old enough, can remember when you could go to Thanksgiving, watch a Steelers game with your relatives, and not complain about politics the whole time, not be on each other's neck. Because you shared a commitment to democracy, a commitment to personal freedoms, a commitment to public education, a commitment to infrastructure. We don't call each other names. We don't do it. And we don't use the least fortunate amongst us as punchlines for our jokes, because they're our neighbors. They're our neighbors. And so you're getting an opportunity to see the best side of America. And for the young people here, they maybe haven't seen a campaign like this because of COVID, because of things that's happening. This is a chance to bring out that joy, turn the page, and look to the future. This idea of going forward. So
pitch perfect. I mean, and the message to me transcends politics. And it's why we've always said here at the MeidasTouch Network, this is a pro-democracy community, and why we've really not leaned into any more like, oh, you're this side or that side. Because at the end of the day, as I always said, I feel like I'm far more conservative than these MAGAs who call themselves conservative. I believe in conserving our institutions. I believe on improving them, but I don't think they're conservative. There's nothing conservative at all unless they're conserving a monarchy, right? Unless they're trying to conserve the Confederacy, because that must be what it really means when they say conservative, because it ain't conserving the democratic values, small d, democracy values entrenched in our Constitution. But anyway, here's Governor Walz speaking in a packed house in Nebraska. It's where he grew up. And he talked about Nebraska's slogan, and I love how he tied it into Trump and J.D. Vance's inauthenticity. Play this clip.
Now, look, we're positive, but I think we all know Donald Trump sees the world a little differently. You think he would understand the importance of Carhenge as a historical relic? The British made a replica of it out of stone. It's so important. So just so we know. Or do you think he would know the joy of tubing and swimming the Niobrara as we do in the summer? And this one's for the gray hairs in this room. You think that guy could understand the pure joy of pre-gaming at sidetracks before a Husker Sooner game? All I can say about that, too, is I'm glad there weren't video cameras around at the time. So we've been there. Look, in Nebraska, you got a slogan here. Nebraska, it's not for everyone. Well, it sure ain't for Donald Trump, I'll tell you that.
And then he continues with that message about J.D. Vance. Do you think J.D. Vance knows one damn thing about Nebraska? Here, play this clip.
And this idea about knowing us, let me ask you something on this. Do you think J.D. Vance knows one damn thing about Nebraska? He's going to be here next week. You think he's ever had a runza? You think he's ever had a runza? That guy would call it a hot pocket. You know it. Every one of you in here know it.
And then J.D. Vance proved him correct by going to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in Philly and asking for Swiss cheese on a Philly cheesesteak. J.D. Vance will go around to each state or Commonwealth and just behave this way. This is exactly how he will behave because they're inauthentic. And yes, that message was geared to a Nebraska audience, but that has broader appeal. That's why at the top of the show, you're seeing people in Arizona supporting Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Walz. We're seeing the mayor of Mesa, Arizona, 36th largest city in the United States, one of the most conservative. I had a legal case in Mesa when I was practicing law back in the day. I can tell you how conservative of a city Mesa is and how conservative their mayor is in Mesa. And he goes, look, I'm putting country over party, and I'm supporting Vice President Kamala Harris. You see the message resonating in North Carolina, for example, even in Florida. I did a video earlier in the day about the villages known for being pretty conservative, rallying for Vice President Kamala Harris. That race right now in Florida is within the margin of error, and you have a marijuana referendum and a women's reproductive rights referendum on the ballot there as well. Watch Florida, watch North Carolina. Vice President Kamala Harris is expanding the map, and Donald Trump's just behaving the way we showed you at the outset. And then for all of these MAGA people or corporate media that want to go ahead with like this narrative, oh, well, she's not answering questions. She basically answers questions at every single stop that she goes to. She does the same routine. She goes, what you got for me? That's how she said. She goes, what you got for me? And then they ask her questions, and they're usually about Donald Trump. Like they very rarely ask her a good question. But then, so she answers the questions, and then she answers them in detail, and then she walks away. She answers all of the questions. Sorry, she's not talking about Hannibal Lecter or like, oh, you know, he looks like this and I look like that. You know, she's having normal answers. Here, like, I'll just show you this clip right here when she talks about home ownership in America. Play this clip.
You unveiled some economic policies last week. Yeah. Can you explain how you're going to pay for those? And can you give us a sense of what other policies you want to unveil going forward?
Sure. Well, I mean, you just look at it in terms of what we are talking about, for example, around children and the child tax credit and extending the EITC. It's at $6,000 for the first year of a child's life. The return on that investment in terms of what that will do and what it will pay for will be tremendous. We've seen it when we did it the first year of our administration. We reduced child poverty by over 50%. So that's a lot of the work. And then what we're doing in terms of the tax credits, we know that there's a great return on that investment. When we increase home ownership in America, what that means in terms of increasing the tax base, not to mention property tax base, what that does to fund schools. Again, return on investment. I think it's a mistake for any person who talks about public policy to not critically evaluate how you measure the return on investment. When you are strengthening neighborhoods, strengthening communities, and in particular the economy of those communities, and investing in a broad-based economy, everybody benefits, and it pays for itself in that way.
Powerful stuff right there. And she's just answering the questions. I don't want to hear about Hannibal Lecter. I don't want to hear about sharks and electrocution by sharks. And I don't need to hear someone whining about the Time magazine cover. And just, no, I want and crave normalcy. Brett, I'll let you give your last message of the show.
Yeah, and stop buying this. This is my message to the media. Stop buying this whole notion that when Donald Trump says I'm doing a press conference, that these are actually press conferences. He's inviting media that he wants to be there and is excluding people he doesn't want to be there. That last thing that he did with the Folgers cans and the meat that was just sitting out there in the sun was just weird and a disaster. And he was rambling. And when he actually turned it over to questions, the people who questioned him were like, how did it feel that God saved your life on that faithful day? Those were the questions that he got. That's not a real press conference. But Kamala Harris going out there, taking questions in every city, having the press with her everywhere she goes. That's actually answering questions, and she should get credit for that. And she's answering them in a good way. She gave more policy detail in that one answer than Donald Trump, I think, has given ever combined. And so I think we're seeing right now the policy platform of Kamala Harris solidify and be announced and get out there. And it's one that, and I think it's about uplifting people, while Donald Trump is about making the rich richer, hers is about helping. How can we help the middle class? How can we help the less fortunate in our country? I think that's a stark contrast. We have exciting momentum with the Democratic National Convention happening right now. Excited to see President Biden speak, excited to see everything that happens at this convention. And you'll be following it every step of the way with us right here on the MeidasTouch Network. We're going to be going live every day. Like we said, we have all of our various creators, contributors that you know and love. They are there in Chicago on the ground. Make sure you subscribe, by the way, to Adam Mockler, who is taking you behind the scenes throughout the whole day of the coverage, doing an incredible job. Shout out to him. Shout out to our entire staff here. Adam Salton, our incredible producer who has made all these incredible graphics and put this on. Shout out to Sydney, to Jeremy, to Hayden, to our entire editorial staff. Oh, you might want to check this out too at store.MeidasTouch.com. We got our pro-democracy wristbands, which you could get and you could pass them out at the various events and rallies and anything that you attend. They're super fun. We got the We're Not Going Back and the Kamala wristbands available at store.MeidasTouch.com. Those are selling fast. Make sure you get them before we run out. And thank you for, once again, trusting us with this live coverage of, on the podcast and with the Democratic National Convention. We are all a part of history here together. All gas, no brakes. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep moving to save our democracy. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Day one, Democratic National Convention, your new destination for all things pro-democracy news is the MeidasTouch Network. Shout out to everyone involved in making this a possibility. If you want to support the growth of this independent media platform, go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Make sure you spell MeidasTouch correctly. patreon.com/MEIDASTOUCH. Brett said store.MeidasTouch.com. Check that out. Let's get to 3 million subscribers this week. I want to hit 3 million this week. Thank you, Meidas Mighty. None of this is possible without you. We're grateful for you. Let's keep on growing this thing together, and let's support, protect, defend our democracy. Shout out to the Meidas Mighty.
The Meidas Mighty standing strong against the fascists. We sing our song.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. The film Against All Enemies, which I co-produced with Ben Meiselas and this network, has won awards around the world for its up-close portrayal of America's insurrectionist movement. It premieres in the U.S. on March 29th on Amazon and Apple TV. Go to againstalllenemiesfilm.com or click the link below. But don't just watch Against All Enemies. Tell your friends about it. It's one more way to hold accountable those who threaten our democracy. Thanks, Meidas Mighty. Let's use our power well.